The information contained on this platform represents the opinion of the host and shall not be understood, construed as, or a substitute for medical or health advice. Please see a health professional who is aware of the facts and circumstances of your individual situation.
What's good, 365ers? My name is Britt, your fit life coach, yogi, and entrepreneur, and this is the Black Health 365. As y'all know, it's our mission to be champions of truth and change by providing y'all with personalized healthcare information and resources from trusted professionals. We are here to empower the Black community to make healthier choices all year long. I'm happy to be joined by my beautiful co-host.
First and foremost, Britt, I felt that in my spirit. You was like, all year long. I felt that. Okay. But 365ers, greetings and salutations. Jackie Page, radio personality and fitness coach. And we want to welcome you to the Black Health 365 podcast. I'm really excited about today's conversation. This is something that affects a lot of Black people, both women and men. So really excited to get into this. Britt, how you doing?
I'm good, Jackie. I appreciate that we have these check-ins. Before I get into what's going on in my life, I think it's a good time just to set up the conversation with our guest today. I'm really excited to speak with them.
Yes. So we will be talking to husband and wife, Blair and Jasmine Matthews. They have had their own firsthand experience with the struggles of getting pregnant. So fertility, infertility, and all that type of stuff, which actually led to the founding of a digital fertility clinic that provides streamlined assistance for those looking to expand their family called Zuri Fertility. Blair, Jasmine, how are you guys doing today?
Great. How are you?
Good. So as Britt kind of mentioned earlier, we wanted to kind of set up how things were going to go today. And one of the things like we'd like to do to set things up is check-ins. We like to check in and see how people are doing both physically, spiritually, and mentally. So Blair, Jasmine, how are you doing today?
Good. We're doing good overall. I think we have two toddlers and we're doing some like home renovation. So I think overall we're doing good.
Yeah. I mean, as best you can do with dealing with Chicago traffic and rush hour. So, the fun times of the day.
Mm-hmm. I'm like toddlers, renovations, and Chicago. I'm surprised you guys aren't like pulling out your hair right now. It just seems like a lot.
Or taking a nap, so
that's beautiful. I think that's a testament to your partnership and support. Jackie, how are you feeling?
I'm actually feeling pretty okay. Was feeling a little under the weather, like I was getting a head cold. I have really bad, and we've talked about this before here with the 365ers. I have really bad sinuses and allergies. So whenever there is a change in season, my allergies will kick my sinuses. So the head cold will start coming. So earlier in the week, I felt like a head cold was trying to come. And it's so funny because it's just the head. The rest of my body feels fine. Like I'm like, la, 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 but my head is like, la, la, la. So definitely was, fighting that earlier this week. But today is probably the first day where I feel, I'm not going to say 100%. I'll say I'm feeling at like 90%. So feeling a lot better. So Britt, how you doing?
I'm glad you're physically feeling better. I know that can affect so many other parts of your life, you being a personality on the radio and TV. So I'm glad you starting to tighten up. I think a theme for me on the last couple of check-ins is just how abundant everything has been for me in my business and life. And I just am in a position of appreciation for it. I set a contract with myself at the beginning of the summer that I'm going to grind, I'm going to go hard. And now I'm coming to the end of that season as I'm transitioning into more softness. Got vacations planned with the love of my life. And so, just preparing for that, just tightening up on some things, been doing a lot of community events for the community and excited for the next transition. So really excited to get into this conversation, Jackie. We were reading an article. I feel like I'm over talking right now, and that's kind of a transition to the article we're about to talk about. It's always these health articles. I feel like some are really on point, some are super salient to what's going on in the community, and some articles are like, is that just a hook to get people to read?
Like to that point, not to cut you off, but I feel like you said, some articles are just over talking. Like you're just oversharing too much information. Britt, go ahead before I have to Cause
You already gave the title. It was an article that was saying people who overtalk have mental health issues. And that's pretty much how it was presented. And I believe that can be damaging. And this was from the New York Times, am I correct?
Washington Post.
Correction. This was from the Washington Post. And I believe articles like that can be damaging, just the positioning of the language and how people identify with mental health. I'll let you speak a little bit more on it before I give some more of my thoughts, and I'll be interested in Blair and Jasmine's opinion.
Yeah. So as a radio personality, that's what I get paid for. I get paid to talk. I get paid to overshare because that's what people want from me. So one, like you said, the lead in was, to be completely honest, I feel like it was a terrible lead in. It was very, hook driven, which it did what it was supposed to do. But actually reading through the article, I don't feel like it gave there were a lot of missing pieces to it. I mean, I understand some points, but I don't feel like all the points that were made were valid or thorough. So I don't want an article like this to, again, understand why they did it. But what I don't want to happen is this article continues to grow and continues to gather steam. And what happens is there is a stereotype or there's a stereotype around people who talk too much or, people who overshare that, hey, if you overshare, you have a mental health issue, when that is not the case. And then you have people who may actually have a mental health issue who may not want to share and may not want to talk because of this. Right. I just feel so many different ways about this. Blair, Jasmine, how do you feel?
So I'll just chime in first. As a medical professional, I'm a physician assistant by trade. That's not my specialty, but just to lump people into one category, like medicine is not black and white at all. So you don't go off of symptoms that way. You don't go off of treatment that way. So you can tell probably whoever wrote the article doesn't have any professional medical training at all. So.
Yeah, I haven't read the article, but I'm empathetic to anyone who might be feeling a type of way, especially for those of us who like to talk a lot, right? I certainly like to share, but I also like to keep a lot of things private. One of those things being what we're going to talk about in the future and later, right? It took a while for me to start sharing a story about my wife and I and our struggles to get pregnant. But other than that, I'm typically the type of personality, as I was with my colleagues in law school or anyone, when I was at Howard, just liking to talk and get to know people. I feel like that's how you genuinely get to share about yourself and open up and get to know much more about everyone else who's around you, right?
Absolutely. This is the Black Health 365, and Black people as a community, we already have a stigma against expressing ourselves, especially when it comes to mental health. For an article like this, it can be particularly damaging for someone who, and me talking from the yoga tradition, has a closed throat chakra. And so I would be remiss to promote this type of article to somebody. Even though there are some points, yes, when we get anxious, we talk a little bit more. I personally have ADHD. I would describe myself as non-neurotypical. And sometimes I do talk more. But that's also cultural too. Like we're saying, Puerto Rican people, they're very dramatic and expressive. And so this is just a very unfortunate article to read. But going to what you just expressed, how for a while you said that you didn't think you would express what you and your wife have gone through. And I think that's a good transition to our Dharma talk for today. A Dharma talk essentially is you can say it's a sermon, but it's a small affirmation to just set the tone for the conversation. It comes from the Eastern tradition. And today's Dharma talk is about living beyond yourself. When you have a purpose that is beyond yourself, it creates all of this energy. And that energy can help enhance the community when we think outside of ourselves. And a lot of times those purposes may come from our experience, but it transcends beyond. And it's powerful. I just want to say what both of you are doing. And I'm just grateful to have this conversation and talk about it so that we can educate the community. Let's get into it.
We'll completely have to agree with Britt on this. How you use, your trials and what you went through to help others. So with that being said, can you tell us a little bit about your story and your journey with infertility and trying to get pregnant?
Yeah, I guess I'll start. So I guess it was what 2017 where we started trying to have a baby and we were having trouble. And slowly like a couple of weeks go by and you're like, oh, okay, this is new. Like haven't, don't really understand what the problem is. And then like turns into months, which then turns into almost a year of still like, hey, a little weird that we haven't gotten pregnant yet. And thought, when you're ready, it would just be kind of easy. Both in our late 20s, seemingly pretty healthy, nothing really like terribly wrong. I do suffer from the same thing, Jackie, as the sinuses. Those tend to bother me a lot with my allergies as well. So I definitely feel your pain there. But other than that, fairly healthy individuals, not really understanding what could be the problem, right? And so that struggle led us to really like kind of almost being siloed off, like looking into what this issue is. Like me being a natural researcher, which is why I went to law school, and like looking on the internet, which is a trove of misinformation. I mean, it's just like tons of misinformation out there, people telling you all types of things that you should be doing or trying, or what you're doing wrong and things of that nature. And then, we didn't talk to our family or our friends about it. I mean, who wants to do that and like just open up that can of worms? And you already have the pressures of family asking you when you're going to have a child after you've been married for some time now. And my wife, it wasn't until she reached out to her medical network and we actually got some answers, some earlier answers that dealt with like some lifestyle changes and things of that nature, that we got the answers that we needed. And then, after a few more months of struggle, we were then able to get pregnant. And now that's really the basis of the story of where Zuri Fertility comes into play. But my wife, being a physician assistant, had that access to care that not everyone else has. There are some that don't have a physician assistant at home, or a nurse practitioner or a doctor that's their spouse or someone close who they feel comfortable talking about it with. I'll stop there and let Jasmine jump in.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, like on the basis of just like being in a relationship or being married, you're gonna look at your partner like, is it you? Is it me? It's really easy to kind of like point the finger. And like Blair said, the internet is just, it has so much information there that is good, but then it's a lot of misinformation. And I think too, with us struggling for the time that we struggled for, that stress when you're trying to try, it just adds to, it's like a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
It really is. So we were really lucky where we never had to go through any fertility treatments. We made small adjustments and then we were able, luckily, to get pregnant. We had a healthy baby boy in 2019. So we got really lucky.
I would say with the caveat of we did end up going to Zanzibar, where I had studied abroad while I was in Howard. And my homestay mother, like went there to kind of get away. My homestay mother, as soon as she saw my wife and saw me, she was like so happy to see me. And in Swahili, she said, "Oh, she's so beautiful. Where's the baby?" And we're just like, oh my gosh, we came all this way to like get away from everybody having to, ask us that. And then, my wife told her before we left that she wanted to get some henna, some traditional henna that they do over there. And little did she know, she got taken to get fertility henna. That's traditionally given when two people get married and the wife is welcomed into the family, they get her fertility henna. And so my wife got fertility henna, and it was after that trip that we ended up getting pregnant.
It was a month later
that we ended up getting pregnant
like
with our son.
Later we got, yeah.
So the word Zuri comes from the word Nzuri in Swahili, and that means good or beautiful, and that's where we get Zuri Fertility. So we believe that everyone should have a beautiful experience with their fertility journey.
I like that. On the note of Zuri Fertility, I kind of talked about what it was just a little bit, but can you go a little bit more into detail as far as what it is and what people can access through it?
Yeah, so definitely. So Zuri Fertility, we're a digital fertility platform, virtual fertility care, however you want to put it that way. Basically, we're modernizing fertility care for today's families. And what that means is if you were to go through the fertility journey today, it seems very disjointed. You're going for an appointment here, testing there, talking to a therapist over here. Whereas Zuri, we're putting all of that into one streamlined position for you, where we offer education. So we have educational content, videos, articles, all done by medical professionals and our doctors. We have education, telehealth. So you do a telehealth appointment with us first. then we, order you a test kit. So we have at-home testing, and we have care navigation and care support throughout your entire fertility journey. So what that looks like for a patient is you download the Zuri app. Let's say Zuri is offered to you through your OB-GYN, maybe recommended through your OB-GYN. You download the Zuri app. You tell your partner to download the Zuri app. And if you're a woman, you're looking at, you can track your cycle on the app as well. That's free. So there's a lot of free features on our app where you can track your cycle, look at some of the educational content, even see where fertility clinics that are like brick and mortar clinics that are near you. Now, we prefer you to come to us first, so that we can give you a true medical diagnosis. That way you don't have to wait in line at those brick and mortar clinics. So you come to us. If your cycle is irregular, you'll get a prompt saying, hey, this warrants a workup with Zuri, basically like a fertility workup. If you're having sex on the right days, but you're not getting pregnant, another pop-up, hey, this warrants a Zuri fertility workup. You'll then meet with our financial counselor, our fertility financial counselor, to help basically understand whether you have fertility mandated insurance in your state, whether you have some type of employer benefit, or there's a grant or a loan, something to help you pay for the service before you have to go out of pocket. Although fertility treatment is traditionally known to be an out-of-pocket expense. However, we're trying to save you from those larger out-of-pocket expenses. So you meet with our fertility financial counselor, you meet with the provider, and the provider will do a diet, will then order a test kit for you. The test kit comes to your house. The man will do the test kit, the woman will do a test kit. Those get sent back to the lab. The only thing that the woman has to leave outside of her house for is to do the imaging study. So maybe you're doing that with a chosen provider like your OB-GYN, or maybe you have us set that up for you, which we can do. So once we have all of that back, our providers can then give you a medical diagnosis. No other virtual fertility care service, no matter what they say, they don't do that. And if you read the small print of a lot of these other fertility testing companies, they'll say cannot be used for a diagnosis. So you just paid maybe $1,000 for a test kit that a doctor will say, look at it and say, I'm sorry that you paid this money for this, but we have to order this test all over again. And so you've just lost time and money. Whereas with us, we test all the hormones. We test both partners. Our tests are done in a CLIA certified lab. They're ordered by a provider, so they can be used as a true medical diagnosis. And once we have that, we can then set you out on a fertility plan. So maybe that's meeting with a dietitian or nutritionist if you get diagnosed with something like PCOS. And my wife can definitely talk to more about what that is. And or if maybe you need some type of fertility pharmaceutical medication that's prescribed to you that can help, boost your fertility so that you can get pregnant. We're trying to do things before you have to go to those more invasive procedures like IVF or IUI, which are more expensive. So we're hoping to save the patient time and money. We also include with that plan are visits per month. So with the basic plan, it comes with 4 visits a month. So maybe you're meeting with like fertility specialists, and one of those visits, a mental health provider, which a lot of people don't talk about, but that you need as a couple going through this. You can see a lot of frustration going on with each other, right? So Jats, do you want to jump in and share anything about that as well?
I just think that it's important to understand with Zuri, it's really a whole encompassed experience for the couple. And I think that's what really helps, because, God forbid we would have had to go through the route of fertility treatments. It's a lot of appointments you have to set up. Sometimes you get to the appointment and you realize, oh, well, you guys haven't been trying long enough. We'll see you again in a year. And a year is a long time to wait. It's a lot of unanswered questions. It's a lot of anxiety. So I think Zuri does a really good job at just encompassing the entire process to make it a lot easier.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I definitely hear the law school in your voice, brother. So many questions. I am definitely interested in hearing about your experiences running this program and how you've impacted the lives, and what are you most proud about it? What can you say towards that? Just the families that you've touched already.
Yeah, so right now we have a wait list of over 1,000 people strong. And if you go to zurifertility.com, you can sign up as well. So right now we're operating in 4 states, Illinois, Indiana, California, and Massachusetts. That's because each of those states offers a wide range of what the fertility insurance is going on. Like some states are mandated, some are not, some cover certain parts of the process, some don't. So we wanted to be able to see how we can help each family in those states, right, that's going through that process, and understand how we can better serve those patients in each of those states. So for example, Indiana, right next door to us, in Illinois, they have no mandated fertility insurance. However, we have been able to partner with a major health system in Indiana to help bring Zuri to their patients because they don't have a fertility clinic. So now navigating that process with their patients who don't have a brick and mortar fertility clinic within the nearest 3.5 hours away from them, we can help, navigate that process for them. So we're providing this access of care to those families, not only who are facing maybe like a financial burden for the fertility treatment, but also, those families who are in the rural areas or those families who don't understand everything going on in the process. Right now, we have a pilot program that we're launching in November. So if you're a couple or know anyone that's interested in one of those states that would like to take part in it, you get 50% off by starting with Zuri. And so we would like to impact more couples that we've already been talking with and working with on our platform, but have a larger impact.
And I think too, just on a personal note, for our friends that are married or in serious relationships who are looking to get pregnant in the next year or the next 2 years, or they're having trouble, they feel more comfortable coming to us and saying, hey, like, what did you guys do? What do you recommend thus far? And I think that's a really big step for people to take because, like Blair mentioned, we didn't talk to anyone about it.
No one.
And it's daunting. As a woman, you feel like this is the one thing I'm supposed to be able to do. Like, what's wrong?
And right there, I just want to stop my wife too, because there's that little opportunity for some type of blame, but infertility can, be caused by men 1/3 of the time, 1/3 of the time it's women, and 1/3 of the time it's unknown. So, what you really want to stray away from, no matter what, if you know someone going through it, is, like any type of blame that can be placed on anyone, because that's not going to help the situation at all. Right. To me personally, the best thing to do is just ask how you can support. It's no easy way around it, but like, just how can you support? Or some helpful things.
And I think something else to add as well is if you are in a relationship or if you are single, it's better to like have a plan or have options versus being put in this box of like, now you're 36 and you realize like, okay, now I want to start a family. Having limited options. Like I know single women who are 32 or 33 who have, gone through the fertility testing just so they have an idea of where they're at. And then they can decide, okay, I'm going to freeze my eggs or I'm going to wait, that sort of thing. And that's another aspect that Zuri Fertility touches on that I think is so important because people are waiting later to have children. I mean, it's expensive. It's a huge decision to make. It's a huge undertaking. So I don't think people should be punished for that.
Yeah, my wife is jumping ahead a little bit too, because we will be offering those services in the coming years too, for like, freezing of reproductive parts and everything like that. But I want to talk about that's also available for men. And not a lot of men know that. And when I started talking to my fraternity brothers about that, yes, freezing your sperm is very much a thing that I did not know about either. But cryo storage is available. And through our testing partner, for men, we'll have that available as well. That's more of like an additional add-on feature, not part of like your main fertility testing, obviously. But that is something that we'll be able to offer, and we're happy to like help guide that process as well. So that if you're not ready, or if you do the testing, you decide, hey, okay, we're in a good spot, or maybe we want to, freeze your sperm, freeze your eggs, or freeze embryos together, we can help navigate that process as well. But the option is there.
I just learned something new because I didn't know that was a thing. So thank you for sharing. For 365ers that are listening right now, they're like, okay, well, I'm really liking this Zuri Fertility situation, but they're like, I don't know if they have any Black providers. I don't know if they have any brothers or sisters that look like us. What would you say to that? Because in the Black community, unfortunately, we don't have the best relationship with our healthcare providers. So we find ourselves looking for people that look like us. So what would you say to those 365ers who have questions about, our Black and brown providers that are out there for us?
Yeah, I'm super excited about that, actually. I mean, being one of the co-founders of Zuri, we definitely have plenty of providers that, cover many different areas of race, gender. So we're happy to provide everyone who has, a diverse background, and that can be requested of us too. We do have providers in all 50 states. We're licensed and credentialed in all 50 states. Like I said, the pilot program is starting with those 4 specific states. But I can tell you this, like the first few providers when we were hiring on that I met were Black. And it wasn't like on purpose. It was, the fertility industry is pretty small with providers like fertility specialists, right? And so it was really exciting. I mean, obviously you're going to get a lot more fertility providers in California. To me, they're like the hub of fertility, all things fertility. But I would say not to fear, not to worry. If you look at Zuri Fertility, actually, like at who's on our advisory board and who's also a part of our team, like our co-chief medical officers, we have Dr. Ruth Darumala and Dr. Omir Rahim out of the University of Chicago. So, I mean, we believe in, getting the best providers, but we're definitely empathetic to those, especially in the Black community, because my wife talked about that a lot as we were, searching for new doctors when we moved. So, yeah.
Definitely. And even just my day-to-day work, because I still practice, when I have a patient who's Black and I walk in, they're just like, okay, like you could just see a sigh of relief, like, okay, it's going to be a different kind of visit. And words can't express. When somebody's comfortable with you and, they're able to communicate with you effectively, it makes things that much better.
One last question for you both. For those who are going through the infertility journey right now, what would you say as far as them advocating for themselves? Because very often they can go and be brushed off. And like you said, oh, we'll wait a year. What would you say to those, for advocating for themselves and making sure that they get the answers and they get the solutions that they need?
I would say, as we mentioned multiple times throughout this talk, the internet it has a lot of misinformation, but there's some good information. And so I don't deter patients from doing their research, because I find that when you come with questions or when you come with information, it allows us to have a conversation. You need to find a provider that you're comfortable with and somebody who really nurtures that, because at the end of the day, whoever you're going to see or whoever provider you have, they work for you. And it's a long journey sometimes, and you have to be comfortable with talking to them, and they have to be accessible, and you have to be able to ask questions. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, one of the benefits of Zuri is that we provide that information for you up front, free, like when you download our app. So you'll have the information that you need to help you advocate for yourself, as well as like tell your story when you do get to meet with one of the Zuri providers as well, or with your own provider. So let's say you're talking with your OB-GYN and you say, hey, found this information. Can you tell me if I'm experiencing some of these things? And, you can have that conversation and you can continue working with your OB-GYN, or if you want to take that next step with us, we're here. We're ready to accept you at any time. Zuri is free to download, and we're happy to help you get started. Even if you wanted to contact us, you can email us at hello@zurifertility.com. You can email us, and we're happy to help you navigate that entire process.
There it is. A lot of wisdom, volumes of wisdom in this conversation. We like to end these podcasts with a closing thought, a 365 moment. What's your 365? What is a closing thought on a personal level that you would like to leave for our 365ers as a couple who has dealt with infertility?
I just want to say that in general, you should trust the process and try not to stress or place too much blame, because like I said, it's a cycle. It kind of makes things worse. And I know it's hard not to do, but just do your best. We're all in general, just day to day, just doing our best. So don't put too much pressure on yourself or be too hard on yourself.
Yeah, not being too hard on yourself is definitely key. Give yourself grace, give each other grace. And obviously, stillness can be a real key in any type of moment, right?
Mhm.
Taking the time to breathe together and just, step back and, have some stillness and then, decide how you guys want to move forward together. That's a very important steps. Like, do we want to research this together? Do we want to go talk to this person together? Do we want to talk about this with our own therapist first before we take steps in this journey, because it's a lot more than what people first take a recognize or think about, that they're getting themselves into, and you never know it until you're going through it, right? So
365ers, there it is. This is why we say we talk to trusted professionals and we're champions of truth. This was a good convo. This was a lot of good resources here. How do you feel, Jackie?
Yeah, this was really good. Blair, Jasmine, thank you so much for sharing your story, being open, being transparent about it. I know a lot of people's lives have changed. I know a lot of people's lives will continue to change through what you guys have gone through and the knowledge that you were sharing. So thank you both. One more time, if people want to reach out to you, if they want to download the app, how can they do that?
yeah, so the app will be available for everyone in all 50 states in November of 2023 for download Zuri Fertility, either in iOS or Google Play Store. You can also reach out to us on Instagram or TikTok at Zuri Fertility, Zuri Fertility. And then you can email us at hello@zurifertility.com. So either way, feel free to reach out to us. If you're in one of those 4 states and you want to do a pilot study, reach out to us and mention the podcast at Black Health 365. Will give you 50% off.
Oh, 365ers, we love a good deal now. Stop playing, get to it. Blair, Jasmine, again, thank you so much for joining. 365ers, as always, if you have something that you want us to talk about or cover or dive into, hit us up on Instagram at Black Health 365. Again, that is Black Health 365. Go ahead and slide in them DMs. You can find me on Instagram or all social media at Love Jackie Page.
You can find me at profitfitness.life. As always, 365ers, it is your responsibility to be an advocate for yourself. Peace and namaste and love.
Thank you, guys.